Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We'll wait for 2-3 minutes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, Tane, we'll be discussing them today. You can expect a question from UNESCO World Heritage Sites. And Durga Puja previously came, Dholavira came. So, yes. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. So, today's agenda, Abhinav, we'll start with schools of philosophy. We will then move to numismatics, two very big topics, 1 and 2. Thereafter, we will very simply move to another big topic, which is the literature part. Because if I do literature too late in the day, most probably you will faint. So I will plan accordingly. So we will have schools of philosophy, numismatics, and literature, three very heavy topics in the beginning. And thereafter, I have previous questions from both mains and prelims both. We practice that also, and we look at the latest questions, which 23 questions, which were basically Gupta and the Lion concept itself. And over and above that, the different understandings based on the questions itself. And thereafter, we have smaller topics. So the agenda is very straightforward. We have to do schools of philosophy first. Once we have covered schools of philosophy, we will go into numismatics. Equally interesting. Now this time I will show you coins. We've discussed the history of coinage generally. Once we've covered numismatics, then we will move towards the discussion related to smaller topics. So, but I do not want to do smaller topics in the beginning because that can be used as a form of what we call a stress busting. So tangible heritages, GI tags, awards and honors, this we will do in the B and C part so that it's easier to understand and the heavier part is over. The heaviest part, which most of you will find very heavy, is this literature and all. We have pottery with me. I have these famous universities. I have brought this book also with me. So I would request you all to please take out your Nitin Singhania also. We will discuss that, what to do with Nitin Singhania. We have questions, and over and above that, we have to do regional schools of architecture, also the smaller little bit parts in that regard. These are the questions which you have to do. Here again, foreign travelers, an important topic, intangible heritage, miscellaneous. So I've mixed and matched. Today we finish everything with regards to your preparation generally. This is the handicrafts part which you have to cover from yesterday. Science and technology we've already done. We'll discuss G20, we'll discuss UNESCO, we'll discuss Vatan Patola, and we'll discuss these other things. We'll discuss these questions also, mains questions. We'll discuss the latest GI. We'll discuss Central Vista scheme also. This is the heavy part which I leave it to you when you want to do, which is literature. This is the heaviest of all, Shruti Smriti literature. Folk arts we will do again. We will do the story of what we call as Madhubani and all. We'll do folk arts also. That is again miscellaneous. So the day is dotted with multiple small and big topics. So it's not that we are not covering everything. Now, if you have your Nitin Singhania, you tell me. Well, I want to just discuss with you what have we covered and what we are going to cover today. Yes, fourth edition, if you have, that works. If you have the third edition, that also works, not an issue. When you have it in Singhania, you tell me. Because I want to initially just discuss standard things with you. Have it? Vivek, when I'm asking you to bring the book, bring the book. Okay. Now, I'll push a poll, A and B. Tell me which edition do you have? Because then I will accordingly talk about. Tell me which edition do you have? A is third edition, B is fourth edition. Perfect. So everybody more or less has fourth edition. That's a good thing. Okay. So for the third edition people, you only have to worry about two chapters which were added. See, first chapter is, and please pay attention, open the book with me so that I can tell you what it is. So first chapter is architecture, sculpture, pottery. This is a 95-page chapter. We have done Mauryan, we've done Harappan, we've done post-Mauryan, we've done Gupta, we've done temple architecture in South India. Other schools of architecture we'll do today. Palasena, medieval, Mughal, and the modern architecture. The Parsi community and the architecture in Kashmir, not that important generally. If you want to read, you can read it. 2 pages, not a big thing. But will discuss the regional schools in that with regards to Jaunpur and all. So this chapter, sculpture is inbuilt into architecture, and that is why it becomes heavy. We have done sculpture, we've done architecture. Pottery, I will take 10 minutes and you will automatically realize what to do with pottery. So this chapter we will cover fully today, which we've already done 99% of it. Then there's a chapter which Nitin Singhania just added to increase the pages of the book in the fourth edition, which is edicts and inscriptions. Now, the point is that here, Ashokan we've already done in ancient India, and the other which are post-Mauryan and Gupta inscriptions have also the most important ones have been covered with you in the ancient medieval part. So I do not expect you to go through this chapter. So this chapter is when you want to revise ancient and medieval, you can go through this list, but obviously nobody can learn each and every inscription. So the point is you don't have to get caught up in this chapter. This was a new edition from third to fourth, just to give you something new in that regard. Indian painting tradition already done, smaller painting tradition, folk painting tradition, I will do with you today. Thereafter, handicrafts, I've discussed leather, I've discussed the what we call as brass work. Today I will do with you the thread work, which is more important because thread work we've seen multiple questions coming through. UNESCO list of World Heritage Sites we will do today. Indian music we finished yesterday. Indian dance forms, you can see first 12 pages is still Satariya. Thereafter, there is folk dances of India, and that goes on to for the 2 pages when it comes to the contents page itself. Folk dances, the ones which I gave you in class, are the ones which are important, and a map which I gave you yesterday is generally important. Don't get caught up in folk dances. Too many and too much to learn that way. Theatre done, puppetry done, martial arts done, UNESCO intangible heritage we'll do today. When by the end of the class, I'll bring out this book again and we'll assess what we've done. Now comes the question of Indian circus. Circus chapter, if you are interested in circus, then do it. If you're not interested in circus, I don't expect you to do it. So very simple, straightforward. Circuses are something, if the examiner wants to ask a question, he will not even go to this chapter when it comes to art and culture. So circus is something which you can leave. Then languages in India, which is the part section C, culture of India. Languages in India, we've already discussed. Script, language, the important language, Pali, Prakrit, Brahmi script, Koroshti script. This we've already done in ancient and medieval. Again, we don't have to go into each and every script, not important. Religions in India, again, we've done the chapters, or we've discussed the major religions in India. This chapter is also just to increase the number of the pages of the book itself. Now comes a chapter called chapter 15, would be 14 or 13 in 3rd edition, which is Buddhism, Jainism. You can look at that chapter, Buddhism, Jainism. Yes or no? Is in front of you Buddhism, Jainism chapter? Yes. This chapter is a must read out of Nitin Singhania. Unlike all other chapters, this is a very good chapter in Nitin Singhania. Buddhism, Jainism, be it 3rd edition of 13th, 3rd edition of 4th edition. This is a very good chapter, Buddhism, Jainism. So chapter on Buddhism, Jainism, Buddhism and Jainism is something which I recommend you to read. Very well written that way. Now comes this painful 37 pages of Indian literature. I will discuss it with you. But for example, Jain and Buddhist texts are important. We'll discuss about the Vedas. We'll also talk about the Hindu texts. But the regional texts you don't have to get caught up in. We've already done Sangam literature. We've already done the texts which are important vis-a-vis the different rulers. But this chapter again is something which is optional because you don't have to learn each and everything which is given in this chapter. It is very extensive and it is very, very hard to remember all of it. So in class, I will go through that painful part. But what I expect from you is to go through it once only you've covered everything. Then comes education in ancient and medieval India. In this also, I will do ancient universities with you today, so that you don't have to worry. Schools of philosophy is in front of you right now itself. Cinema again is something optional. Very interested in cinema. You want to develop it as a hobby. Go through this chapter. If not, cinema we don't expect a question. Science and technology through the ages. I will discuss with you again. And this was something which was asked this year in the examination. Shipbuilding, navigation, and the architectural technologies introduced by Delhi Sultanate. Calendars we already covered. What are the 3 calendars which are there in India? 3 calendars used in India. Tell me, what are the 3 calendars used in India? Gregorian, Vikram, Shaka, Gupta. 4 calendars, but 3 we use. Vikram, Shaka, and Gregorian standard. So this is also it. Fairs and festivals. This we've done yesterday. Awards and honors. I will do it with you today. Law and culture. A good read if you want to generally. Culture institutions. I will discuss with you. As it says, cultural bodies. Coins in medieval and ancient. That is numismatics. Also we will discuss. Indian culture abroad. Again, totally unnecessary chapter. But now comes another chapter. Chapter number 28. I don't know what the chapter is in for the 3rd edition, which is India through the eyes of foreign travelers. Sure, you can get no issues. So India through the eyes of foreign travelers, a very important chapter, again, very well written chapter that way. And done. These are 2 chapters which I want you to read, which is Buddhism, Jainism, and India through the eyes of foreign travelers. 2 very, very well written chapters in that regard. Other than that, the other chapters is only for revision. I will tell you what to do with this book once we're done with the syllabus itself. So 2 chapters, I've written the name of the chapters itself. India through the eyes of foreign travelers and Buddhism and Jainism. Very, very, very important. These are must reads. You have to read it through this book. Other than that, you can just go through Nitin Singhania, supplement it with the PPT. Done. We'll look at this book again by the end of the class. So don't have to be the class for that. So if you understand that in a way through the past 2 weeks, you have not noticed, but we've covered right now 70% of the book already. And in a way which makes more sense. Cultural institutions is here. Cultural institutions I will discuss with you, don't worry. The ones which I discuss with you are the most important. Others you will again revise from the book. See, Nitin Singhania, if you keep it as your base, then it becomes heavy. I'm not asking you to learn from Nitin Singhania, I'm asking you to revise from Nitin Singhania. See, the point is, it is a book which you cannot ignore. Unfortunately, you cannot ignore Nitin Singhania. You have to go through Nitin Singhania. So there is no way of ignoring it. I am changing the nature of your engagement with Nitin Singhania. I'm not asking you to learn from it. I'm asking you to revise from it. That much I think we can do, because going to CCRT website, 100 different books makes no sense. Makes no sense as of right now. One book, necessary evil, if we are all at agreement here. And if you understand that, yes, I have covered in a way Nitin Singhania, and by the end of the class, I will again open this book, and you will realize we've done everything. Can I now start 6 schools of philosophy? Because this is the most technical of all the chapters which are there, and in a way also quite interesting in that regard. Okay, everyone's here? Everyone's ready? Yes? Okay, great, perfect. So, let's start our discussion for today. The first discussion we have is 6 schools of philosophy. Now, to understand 6 schools of philosophy, I will reiterate something which we already did in ancient India, which is the concept of moksha. But again, I'm reiterating that concept to you. We know that we have a body. And within that body, we have a soul. So the basic idea of religions is that there's a body and there's a soul which is called Atma. And the point is that body is perishable, but the Atma, the soul which has been given to us by God, is caught up in a cycle. And that cycle is of birth and rebirth. And this is basically the endless cycle in which soul is caught up. What the soul wants is to break this cycle, and that is called moksha or nirvana. Once moksha is there, the soul again becomes a part of the source where it came from. The soul where it came from, it becomes part of the body from which it came out, which is God. God gave it to us. It becomes part of God, and this is the process of moksha. Anybody has any issue here? You shouldn't. Is it true or not true? That is of no purpose to us. For the purpose of the examination, it is true that the soul, you have a life energy inside you, and you have a body, and within your body, the body dies, but the soul changes its body. How we change clothes, the soul changes bodies, and it is caught up in a very vicious cycle of birth and rebirth. That once it is born, it will then die, then born, then die. Therefore, birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth, birth, rebirth, which is death is something which is given, but the life energy which is inside you has been given by God. The soul has to go through this endless cycle, and in order to break this cycle, it has to do certain processes which we will discuss is different in different religions. But the point is, moksha is the process of getting what we call as a break for our soul from this cycle of birth and rebirth. There is birth and rebirth is given. Soul will get or will break this cycle. That process of breaking the cycle is called moksha. Moksha, nirvana. We've already discussed this concept in Buddhism, Jainism. So do you understand this concept? What is moksha? Moksha is when the soul gets liberation from the cycle of birth and rebirth. Is this point clear? Everybody, come on. Have to be more vocal in this section. Very technical. Okay. Yes, sir. Okay. Now, in Vedic Brahmanism, which is the first religion in the Indian subcontinent, Vedic Brahmanism, how do you get moksha? Moksha comes when you do punya, ritual merit, and that you get from rituals and sacrifices, dan, dakshina, whatever it may be. It is from rituals and sacrifices that you gather punya, and from punya you get moksha. So after a point or after a certain amount of punya, you get moksha. Yes, yes. This is what we discussed previously. That the concept of punya, ritualistic merit, is something related to Vedic Brahmanism. Now the problem of this ritualistic sacrifices or this path of punya is that it is expensive. Not everyone can do it. So in a way, it is socially exclusionary. And because of the frustration with the system, we had three alternative paths emerging. What were the three alternative paths? Very good. Ajivikism, Buddhism, Jainism. But you don't worry. Don't even, in the book only one line is given regarding moksha. Don't worry about that. I'll tell you what the issue is with the book. I'm telling you what it is. Pay attention here. If the book was so very good, then I would not be needed. So don't worry about that. These chapters are written in a very bad way. So Ajivikism is there, Buddhism is there, and Jainism is there. And we call these as separate, as part of Vedic Brahmanism or separate to Vedic Brahmanism. Are they separate religions or they're part of Vedic Brahmanism? They're separate. So these are three different religions. And how do you get moksha in Ajivikism? Come on, I want you to revise with me. How do you get moksha in Ajivikism? Very good. Niyati, which is predestination. Very good, great, extremely proud. Then Buddhism. What is the path which takes you to the Atriya Sachais, but it is called the Ashtanga Marg, eightfold path. And in Jainism, it is the 5, what we call as vows or promises, which all the monks take. Now, this is something which we've already previously discussed, that there is this concept of body, soul, and thereafter you get moksha by breaking the cycle itself. And thereafter, Vedic Brahmanism had one way, and that was punya and ritualistic merit. And three different paths emerged in frustration to it. Anybody has any issue here? If you have it, then you have to go through ancient video again. But anybody has any issue in understanding this? There should be no issue generally. This is a repetition of what we've previously done itself. No issues. Very good. Perfect. Now, before I go into the 6 schools of philosophy, the reason why most of the students get confused here is because they become emotional. So what they do is that they try to find life's answers in this chapter of Nitin Singhania, which has none, and in these philosophies. The point is, do they work? Will they work? Or should I do it? Should I follow it? The answer to these questions are what? It's not no or it's not yes. It's that it doesn't really matter. So your answer should be, I don't care. I have to clear the examination. That is my moksha from this cycle of attempts. And therefore, very simply, I have to be very, very clear what I need to learn from this. I don't have to now try to find meaning in these philosophies. So keep it simple. This is the disclaimer which I'm already giving you. This is an academic discussion. We are not here to find life's answers because that is not the purpose of this lecture. Then on the wrong channel, that is our channel. Now, if we understand this basic concept, then let's talk about these philosophies. Now, first and foremost thing, 6 philosophies are there. Are they within Hinduism or outside Hinduism? Outside, within, outside, mixed match. Some of you don't want to say. What is it? Outside or inside? Within Hinduism or outside? Inside, within, outside, within. Now see, these 3 are outside. They are basically separate religions. But because of the Vedic Brahmanistic path, which was based on rituals and sacrifices, there is also a internal churn or internal discussion within Vedic Brahmanism. So these 6 schools of philosophy come within the Hinduistic fold only. They are within Hinduistic fold. They are alternative paths. They are alternative paths within Vedic Brahmanism. They are alternative paths within Vedic Brahmanism. So understand this point. These are 6 philosophies, not religions. They are not religions. They are 6 alternative ways. They are 6 alternative ways to seek moksha other than Vedic Brahmanism Punya path. Are we clear with regards to this? That they are inside, not outside Vedic Brahmanism. The people who wrote outside, you understand why they are not outside. They're not religions. As soon as they become outside, they become religions. In a way, they do not reject Vedic Brahmanism, but its path. So they don't like the path. See, when I reject the religion, I become a new religion. When I reject the religion, I become a new religion. While on the other hand, when I reform that, I am within that religion. So if you understand reformists in modern India, this is exactly the same thing. They want to reform the path. For them, this path is the problem, not the religion. So they argue that nirvana, moksha, salvation, whatever you want to call it, can be sought within Vedic Brahmanism via alternative ways. Please understand this point. These 3 reject Hinduism, but these 6 don't reject Hinduism. They are within the Hinduistic fold. They don't like the path. That is the problem for them. So are we clear with regards to this? Come on. I told you it is technical, have to be more vocal. Yes? Now, the orthodox school or the orthodox 6 schools. When you say 6 schools, it means this: Vaisheshika, Nyaya, Sankhya, Yoga, Purvamimamsa, Uttarmimamsa. But there's also one which rejects the authority of Vedas, but isn't a separate religion, but is a separate concept. A separate concept, which we discussed, which is Charvakism. Charvakism is not part of 6 schools. So please understand, when they say 6 schools, they mean these, not Charvakism. So these are the 6 alternative paths to salvation. Whilst they say Vedas are important, they say Vedas not important. But what is more important to us is how do you then get salvation within these 6 schools? If you understand this core concept, except authority of Veda means that they believe in the Varna systems. Arthat, that is always there. None of them reject the Varna structure. None of them, in a way, reject the core ideology. They all are the same. They see the difference between Buddhism, Jainism, Ajivikism, and 6 schools is those 3 are challenging Vedas. They accept the authority of Vedas, but they say that the path is wrong. The religion is not the problem. The path is the problem. So they say that we will give you alternative path. Understand this point. There can be 2 ways of doing something. One would be to say that I'll give you a very simple straightforward example. That one would be to say that the syllabus I'm learning is wrong. Therefore, I need to change the syllabus. So that is 2 different religions. One is that the syllabus is fine, but the problem is in the teacher. So I need to change my teacher. That is 6 schools of philosophy. Charvakism is also within Vedic Brahmanism. They say the text is the problem, but they don't say the religion is the problem. Understand this point. I have to clear the exam, and I create a syllabus. The 3 religions say the syllabus is wrong. So follow our syllabus. That is religion. But 6 schools of philosophy say that the syllabus is perfect. It's just that the teacher who's teaching is the problem. So you should have 6 different paths. 6 different teachers tell you how to clear it. This is the difference. It is about, and Charvakism says that the syllabus is okay, but the book through which we are learning the religion is problematic. These say book is also okay. It's just the teacher. So basically, some say syllabus is wrong, some say syllabus is perfect. Book is also perfect. It is the teacher who's the problem. And some say that the syllabus is okay, book is wrong, and therefore teacher is also wrong. So we need a new teacher. It's a very straightforward concept. I can't bring it down to a simpler level. It's no hodgepodge. Pay attention. One say religion is problematic. The Vedic Brahmanism religion is problematic. So they create 3 new religions. 6 say that Vedic Brahmanism is okay, Vedas is okay, but the Brahmins are the problem. So we create 6 new paths to how to get moksha. The Charvaks say Vedic Brahmanism is okay, text is the problem. Let's not look at the Vedas itself. Let's develop our own alternative book, that is Charvakism. Get my point? If you will pay attention, it is not difficult. It is quite logical in that regard. It's very straightforward. This is where students get caught up in the examination. They tend to not understand what is the difference between a religion and an alternative path. I want everybody's assertion that you understand what is the difference between path and religion, and how these 6 schools, along with Charvakism, also are part of the larger Vedic Brahmanistic fold. But when the examiner says 6 schools, Charvakism is not counted because Charvakism does not accept the authority of the Vedas. That's called unorthodox school. So can I now discuss the 6 schools of philosophy if we understand the core concept itself? Yes? No? How does it exist today? That discussion I will do later. First, learn what it is. Okay. Now, First is you need to understand out of these 6, there are 4 schools which are together and 2 which are separate. The 4 which are together are called Dvaita schools, and 2 which are called Advaita schools. Dvaita schools are the Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Yoga, and Sankhya, or Samkhya, same thing. And here you have Purva and Uttar Mimamsa. Now the million dollar question is, what is Dvaita? What is Advaita? That is the core question. So let's talk about Dvaita philosophy. Now under Dvaita, the concept is, now please pay attention, stop typing, stop looking at something else, because that will save our energy over this. So don't be distracted, pay attention. Dvaita philosophy says that the world around us, which is the world around me, can be divided into 2 parts. That's like Dvaita, dualistic philosophy. What is the Dvaita school philosophy? The whole world can be into 2 parts: Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti is the physical world around us, nature, physical, material. While on the other hand, Purusha is the spiritual world around us, the intangible, the metaphysical. And when Prakriti meets Purusha, you get Jiva, which is living being. Very simply, your body is Prakriti, and your soul is Purusha. Which is that if I have to look around the world, or if I look at the existence around me, right now if I look at the existence around me, there are two types of worlds which are there. One is the one which I can touch. This book has a physical form. But does this book have a soul? No. So this is Prakriti. This mouse, this screen, this vacuum, this boom mic, this pen, these are the physical things which are around me. Anybody Prakriti issue? Prakriti, as it means nature. Everything which is physical, which is around you, is Prakriti. Anybody has an issue with Prakriti? What is Prakriti? Anything which is around you which has physical form is Prakriti. Issue in Prakriti? No. Now, as I speak right now, there is something metaphysical also around me. There is a certain type of what we call as energy, which has different names in different religions. But there is something metaphysical, which is that I pray to God, a higher power. There is something which creates everything, which destroys everything. That is Purusha. Purusha is the metaphysical world, the world beyond this world, which we have not been able to comprehend. But the creator, the destroyer, everything, the spiritual world. And that spiritual world I cannot touch. Can I touch the vibrations, the life energy in this class? The life energy which is there in this class, or around you. What is around you right now? There's an energy. That is called the life energy, or the energy which creates everything, destroys everything. You want to call it God? Sure. Can you touch the power of God? The non-physical power which is around you? No, that is Purusha. But you and me are an example when both the physical and the metaphysical come together. My consciousness, the fact that I know that my name is Abhishek Mishra, that I teach history, that I have this family, the fact that I can look at you right now and grasp that you are a human, that is the Purusha inside me, the soul. And this body is my Prakriti. So dualistic philosophies divide all things in the universe into things: the physical and the intangible or metaphysical, something which cannot be touched, or the tangible and the intangible. And only when these two come together, you get a living object. Plants, animals, you and me are an example of the intersection of Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti is body, Purusha is soul. Does it make sense? Dualistic philosophy or dualism or Dvaita. Why it's called Dvaita? Dvaita, dualistic. Two types of worlds. One which is physical, one which is metaphysical, one which is Prakriti, one which is Purusha, one which is body, one which is life energy. So I am, you are, everybody, all the 8 billion people on this planet are an example of how Prakriti meets Purusha. Do we understand Dvaita? Because if you understand Dvaita, then Advaita is going to make sense a lot. I want everybody's yes. A lot of you have not written yes. I want everybody's yes. I don't care what you're doing right now. I want your yes. There are more people in the class than actually comments. So I want a yes that do you understand Dvaita? Because if you understand Dvaita, then teaching the first 4 are very straightforward. If you're writing, if you're confused, what are you confused about? What are you confused about if you write? There is 95% of the class is totally clear about this. What is the confusion? Prakriti is the physical. Purusha is the non-physical, intangible. Which energy, sir? What energy? You are literally, it's a philosophy. It's not literal. You tell me, Vivek, very simply, the energy which is inside you, which is making you ask this question. Can you touch it? Can you touch your soul? Then what is the issue here? There's a physical body which you can touch, and there's a non-physical body which is inside you. So this is Prakriti, your soul is Purusha. There is an energy which is around you. You don't see it, but higher consciousness, when you will become spiritual, when you will start to meditate, you will feel that energy. If you can't feel it, take it for granted that there are two types of forces around you. And that is not something which only Hinduism says. Be it Hinduism, be it Islam, be it Christianity, be it Buddhism, be it Jainism. We have all students here, and they can vouch for the fact that all religions talk about two energies. One which is the godly power, which is Purusha, and you call the god anything doesn't really matter, but that energy exists. And one which is the physical world. Am I wrong to say that the all religions in a way accept the concept of two major energies, which is the physical and the metaphysical? Yes? Be it Sikhism, Sikhism also same power. Sikhism, Hinduism, Islam, Christianity, any religion, same concept. That is why I told you pay attention, because it is a little bit over the top. Is it right or wrong is of no purpose to me. Sure, what we call as dark energy, dark matter, that is your metaphysical. You can't touch it. Photons can be the energy which is there in the whole world itself. But try to understand, now we are becoming emotional. Now you are trying to find meaning rather than taking it at face value. There is, according to Dvaita school, two basic concepts. Prakriti Purusha. Can I now move to the discussion related to the four Dvaita schools and how do they talk about the world? Yes? Okay. Now, let's talk about the first school which talks about this. It's called Sankhya or Sankhya. See, I, as of right now, don't care about who is the saint and all. Let's understand the core ideology. I'll give you a table which is comparative, and then it will also make sense to you. Now, Sankhya is the believer in Dvaita philosophy. Believes that the world can be divided into two, Prakriti plus Purusha. And the way to salvation is knowledge. Knowledge gained through experience. That is called sensory knowledge. Now, what do you mean by sensory knowledge? The way to get salvation is to gather knowledge. When you gather that knowledge, you will be able to transcend this body and become part of God. Therefore, you will get moksha. But what do I mean by sensory knowledge? See, sensory knowledge says that I have five senses. I will use my senses to, see, feel that, this is the remote. So I will have cognizance of this. I will have interpretation of it. And I will come to a conclusion that, this is a remote. Then I will use my sensory knowledge to see, this is not a remote, but it's a book, because I was able to touch it and its feel was different. The point was that everything in this universe can be understood through senses. So what you see, what you hear, what you smell, what you taste, and what you feel together can give you a knowledge. It is that knowledge which will lead to salvation. It is sensory knowledge which is going to lead to salvation. So senses when I'm going to use, then I will get knowledge. To be very precise, what are the technical terms which are used? Started by the person called Kapil Muni. He's the saint who talked about it. He said that the world is Prakriti, and when it meets the spirit, which is Purusha, Jiva is born. Jiva is, or the body is, a binding of Purusha and Prakriti. It's a dualistic philosophy which argues that when you acquire sensory knowledge through perception, through inference, through hearing, then you get the knowledge to get salvation. So very simply, the words which are mostly associated with Sankhya is real knowledge, or sensory knowledge, or experiential knowledge. That I will experience and I will get to know. This is what Kapil Muni talked about. So his alternative path to salvation was knowledge. So if I make, for example, one slide here, if I make a table of all dualistic philosophies, the first one is Sankhya, Kapil Muni, Dvaita school, Prakriti plus Purusha, path to salvation, real knowledge, sensory knowledge through inference, senses, and perception. You can remember this much? In the examination, if it says real sensory knowledge, will you be able to associate it with Sankhya? And see, this will start to make more sense, and I will write all four. Then you will understand why this word real is so important. The word real is very important because this is the type of knowledge which they talk about, which is sensory. What I hear, touch, and feel is what gives me knowledge, and that in turn will give me salvation. Now I know there's a very big question which is inside you right now, very big question, and it's trying to take over, but you don't want to ask me. The point is, sir, then how does it work? This is the question you want to ask me right now. That's how does sensory knowledge lead to salvation? I can see it on your face. It's like something which is going to burst out. So I will tell you the answer to that question, and the answer to that question is I really don't care. And the point is, does it work or it doesn't work is of no purpose to us, and is of no. The examiner will not ask you, does Sankhya philosophy work? I will get my 2 marks out of this question, or 10 or 7 out of 10, and I will move on. I don't care if it works or not. So the question how is of no purpose to you. This is the emotional aspect which you have to keep away from this discussion. So can I move to yoga if Sankhya is clear? Who feel what? Who feel Prakriti Purusha? What you can feel is Prakriti. Purusha you cannot touch, it is intangible. Can I talk about yoga? If you want to ask, you can ask. It's not, don't keep it inside you, because then what will happen is there will be a certain type of dialectics inside you. What was dwand? You will keep on asking that question to yourself. You ask me that question, I'll tell you if it is of any purpose to this discussion or not. Anybody wants to say something? Sankhya, Kapil Muni, real knowledge, dualistic philosophy. Anybody has any issue in this story? What is not getting? What is real knowledge? Yeah, knowledge you understand. Knowledge is to understand things. Yes. Now, according to them, knowledge is real when it is based on all senses, which is when you use all your senses, and they use these big words, which is that you have pratyaksh perception, that I perceive this object, then I infer it, and then I can't hear it, then I touch it, and then I come to a conclusion. See, I can gather knowledge in different ways. Which is that I can gather knowledge from you, from someone else, somebody can tell me. But what Sankhya is saying is that no, that knowledge is not important. Real knowledge is which you gather yourself through your senses, which is the knowledge faculty which God has given to you. Now getting the concept of real. This word real means gathered by oneself in that regard through their experience. That is why experiential knowledge. Now does it make sense? Okay. Now, Neha, you asked me this question. If not written, yes, you have to tell me if this made sense to you. How sensory works. That is all magic which happens in your body. We have to ask God, how does he create this power that I can touch, feel, and in a way use my senses. All this is magic which God creates. So I have no answer. Very, very tuchh being that way. Very small person to answer these big questions. Okay. So it is, yes, experiential knowledge is real knowledge. Yes. So how does this body work? How do I get the senses? Neither am I a medical professional who can tell you how does the touch system work. Neither am I a Baba who can tell you how God made it work. I am here to tell you real knowledge. Yes. Can I talk about yoga? Steer clear of these bigger questions of life because there is no answer here. Understand this point. Okay. Now we come to the second dualistic philosophy, which is called yoga. This is why I'm doing it in the morning. If I do it in the evening or in the afternoon, you will start to basically think about life more than actually understand it. First thing fresh in the morning, that is I'm doing it. Yoga. Again, Dvaita philosophy. Now, Dvaita philosophy is Purusha and Prakriti. Now, the way to salvation is very interesting. The way to salvation is physical application of body, which is pranayams and asanas, to control Purusha through Prakriti, which is that I control mind through body and body through mind. Prakriti by Purusha, Purusha by Prakriti. The concept is meditation, asanas, and physical, what we call as physical manipulation of body. This is what yoga is, isn't yoga? Controlling your body through your mind and your mind through your body. That is the core philosophy of yoga. Yoga, in a way, talks about Hiranyagarbha is the one who started this concept, which will be systematized by Patanjali. And Purusha is distinct from Prakriti, that is why dualistic. Salvation is through meditation and physical application. Asanas and pranayam are used for concentration, control over sensory pleasures and your senses. And this is something which they actually picked up from something which the Buddhists were also talking about, which is contemplation, meditation, and concentration. So very simply, yoga, which is not Kapil Muni, Hiranyagarbha. Again, Dvaita school. They argue very straightforward that the path to salvation is physical application, control Prakriti and Purusha through asanas and pranayams, concentration and meditation. So now can you see that they are different in their emphasis on how to get moksha? One says sensory knowledge. The other one says, no, not sensory knowledge. The Sankhya people don't know. It is about controlling the body and the mind. Through pranayams, through the concept of asanas, I can control, and if yoga done at a very, very serious level, when you start to control your chakras, then mind and body can be controlled. So yoga says it's not about gathering knowledge. It's about gathering, or rather knowing your body in such a way that you control the life energy, and at the same point of time, it's about controlling the life energy so that you can control your body, which they call chakras, which is the concept of life energy. So is yoga clear? Yoga should be a little bit more easier to understand, because yoga, something we talk about quite a lot in popular imagination, and we already know it, which is it's about physical application. And yes, there are two Patanjalis. This is not the Patanjali of the text. This is the Patanjali of yoga. And the one who actually started this was called Hiranyagarbha, later systematized by Patanjali. Now, is yoga clear? Everyone's yes. Are we on the same page? Is this making sense to you? Come on. Yes. Okay. Now, Now we move to Nyay. Which is the next school. Nyay is a very interesting school. It is also Dvaita school. Yes, it's the Patanjali of Ramdev. Yes. This is also the school of Prakriti and Purusha. Now, paths to salvation is very interesting. Did their philosophies were given after the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism? This is all contemporary to each other. Buddhism, Jainism, and Sikhism all are coming along with these six schools. All are contemporary to each other. Path to salvation. Now, pay attention. It is to gather right knowledge and wrong knowledge, which comes through ignorance, not get salvation. Rather, right knowledge, which comes through comparison, inference, perception, that will give you salvation. That is why, what the word for Nyaya in English is what? The word for Nyaya in English is what? Justice. Justice is about what is right and what is wrong, or what the judges decide is who is right and who is wrong. Yes. So this concept of justice and Nyaya comes from this only, which is that right knowledge. It's about right and wrong knowledge. If you get the right knowledge, you will get salvation. If you get the wrong knowledge, you will not get salvation. Now, here you see it in a comparative perspective. You have Sankhya, who says that knowledge which is through sensory means. But Nyaya says no, not everything which you see is the right knowledge or the right thing in that regard. Meaning that if I have two bottles in my hand, for example, and these two bottles, or rather, let's talk about these two. These two are remotes, but are they the same thing? No. So now Sankhya will say both are remotes irrespective because my touch, feel, and purpose is the same. But Nyaya will say no. This is a different remote. This is a different remote because by comparison, I can make out that these are different remotes. A very good example of this would be, for example, how we study for UPSC. Sankhya would say Google everything, and whatever you see on Google is right. Nyaya says no. Not everything which is available as a resource in the market for UPSC is the right knowledge for UPSC. I get the difference between Nyaya and Sankhya. Sankhya says, right, how to study art and culture. First link which comes, look at it. That is real knowledge. That is what knowledge is. But Nyaya will say no. Watch 3 to 4 videos and decide which is the right knowledge, which is the wrong knowledge. This is what UPSC aspirants do not understand, which is that when you have the right resources but the wrong knowledge, then you don't clear the examination. That comes from overconfidence or that comes from trust issues. When you trust the process, trust your teachers, and you have the right knowledge coming out of the right teachers, then only you will clear this examination. That is the difference between Nyaya and Vaisheshika. But Nyaya doesn't say that whatever I am saying, you take it at face value. You compare. You have the right to compare. And only when you get to see that what is right knowledge and what is wrong knowledge, when you are able to distinguish between right and wrong, then you will actually get the knowledge needed for salvation. So in a way, according to Nyaya, everybody on the path of gaining knowledge is not going to get salvation. It is only who will get the right knowledge who will get the salvation in that way. No, it's not related to karma. It's about knowledge. It's about gathering knowledge. See, I can give you a book. I can give you this book. Somebody will read it and somebody will read it. Two people will read it, but they'll have different sets of knowledges. Somebody could have the right knowledge, somebody could have the wrong knowledge. Same thing which I teach in class, you could be understanding it in a different way, someone else could be understanding it in a different way. But the point is the right path is important, right knowledge is important. Are you getting my point? How Nyaya is different from Sankhya. Sankhya and the concept is, see, here you have, I'll read it out to you first. Gautam Muni, he talks about acquisition of knowledge through perception, inference, comparison, testimony. It's the logical school, logic for attaining knowledge, human suffering from wrong knowledge. So it is similar to the karma concept of Buddhism, not the karma concept of Hinduism. Within Hinduism, it's not about the good path and good. It's about something which they picked up from the Buddhist concept of karma, not the Hinduistic concept of karma. That way, you're right. It has nothing to do with the good and bad within Hinduism, but yes, they picked up from the concept of no karma, which is outside Hinduistic philosophy, which is Buddhism. So the simple, straightforward concept is, we have Gautam Muni, again, Dvaita philosophy, and here, path to salvation. Path to salvation. It is not a subset. It is in no way a subset. Don't say that Nyaya people will kill you. It is not a subset. It is a correction. It's a correction of Sankhya. Sankhya is straightforward. Nyaya is logical. See, it is to acquire right knowledge through logic, comparison, and inference. Wrong knowledge comes from ignorance. Sankhya, real knowledge, Nyaya, right knowledge. Yes. So, see, very simply, very straight, a very beautiful way of understanding it. For example, I have a set of knowledge. So this is wrong knowledge comes from ignorance. So you have a set of knowledge. Now what the Sankhya people will say, all this knowledge is right knowledge. And the word which they use is real. According to them, everything is perfect. But the Nyaya people will say, no, this much part is right, this much part is wrong. and therefore this knowledge will get you salvation. This won't. And therefore you can see there's a kind of competition between Nyaya and Sankhya. In a way, Nyaya undercuts the concept of Sankhya. Nyaya undercuts Sankhya. Sankhya says all knowledge is right. They say no. That is why, see, this is called the sensory school. This is called physical school. And this is called logical school. Because it's based on logic. It is very simply based on logic. It's based on logic. And you can see it yourself when you prepare for the examination. There will be multiple sources. There will be knowledge. Everything on the internet is knowledge. But somebody says the earth is flat. That is also knowledge given on the internet. And somebody says that the earth is round. Who has the right knowledge? Sankhya, yes. Sankhya includes both right and wrong knowledge. But Hardeep, Neha, how are you able to say that it is round? Because you used your logic, you used your understanding, you used your perception, you used your comparative understanding. But a Sankhya person will say flat earth is also right and geoid is also right, which is round is also right. So this is the point. Nyaya, in a way, has a distinction between right and wrong. That is the justice. Logic. Sankhya includes both. That is the basic point. Right? Are these two clear? Because knowledge, there will be one more school now based on knowledge, which is Vaisheshika. Nyaya is taken from Buddhist or vice versa. Both are contemporary to each other, Ashwin. So as Hardeep said, the concept of right view, right, the Ashtanga mark, that concept is picked up. But here, that right is not taken. For them, right is good. That is what Hardeep also said. It's not about the concept of good and bad. It's about the concept of right and wrong. Factually. Getting my point? Ashwin and Hardeep, these are two very good points you've made. In Buddhism, right and wrong is good and bad. But here it is not good and bad. It is right and wrong in a way of knowledge as a perception of factual. The point is these two are remotes. But the right, this is Sankhya's understanding. But Nyaya's understanding is this is an AC remote, this is a remote for lights. So they are able to distinguish between the different ideas. If I say both do the same thing, that is the wrong knowledge which you are seeing. Both don't do the same thing just because the Sankhya will argue because both are remotes, both have the same purpose. Is this right knowledge? That by virtue of just being remotes, they do the same thing? No. So Sankhya says because they are remotes, they do the same thing. Nyaya says yes, they are remotes, but they have different purposes because they are related to different things. Get my point? How Nyaya and Sankhya and Yoga are different to each other, specifically Nyaya and Sankhya. Because I now want to go to Vaisheshika, which is the most interesting and the most advanced in that regard. Okay, let's talk about Vaisheshika. Now, Vaisheshika is a very interesting school because it is also Dvaita school. So Dvaita school, dualistic school, and for all dualistic school, Purusha and Prakriti are the two parts. But Vaisheshika questions Prakriti, questions the concept of Prakriti, to say that Prakriti is not one homogeneous whole. Rather, the understanding that Prakriti is made of elemental bodies or different elements gives you salvation. And these elemental elements or these elemental bodies are nothing but water, earth, fire, sky, air. And it's a very interesting thing. This school is called the atomic school. It's called the atomic school. It's called the precursor to physics because it argues Nyaya is first or Buddhism is first. Both are together, contemporary to each other. The concept of tattvas, the concept of the 5 elements, is something which comes from this concept itself, which is that Vaisheshika says that the people of Nyaya are useless, the people of Sankhya are useless because they think that Prakriti is one whole. No, Prakriti is its 5 different elements, and everything has a property because it is related to or because it has different what we call as elements as high or low. Something is hot because the fire element is high, something is cold because the water element is high. Very simply, Vaisheshika talks about further a very interesting thing, comes from the founder Kannada or Kannada, which is the school of pluralism and atomism. Earth, water, fire, air, sky combine to become matter, which gives different qualities to different things. Matter made up of atoms. Consciousness is due to Brahma, which is God. So according to them, God gives us consciousness, which is the soul, which is God's atoms, and everything is made out of smaller atoms. Suffering is due to, again, ignorance, and salvation will only come through pratyaksh and anumana, which is again perception and inference. So in a way, this is the most sophisticated of all schools, Vaisheshika, which is that it is the Kannada Muni, Dvaita philosophy, and path to salvation is understanding that Prakriti is made up of the different elements. It is the atomic school or the plural school, And knowledge of 5 different elements is necessary. Knowledge based on one whole prakriti is ignorance. Now you see how it is again undercutting Nyaya and Sankhya. In a way, it is undercutting Nyaya and Sankhya, that both of them are useless because they think that Prakriti is one whole. We believe that Prakriti is its 5 different elements. Only when you understand that it is 5 different elements, then only you actually have the right knowledge to get salvation. Now, do these 4 schools actually make sense to you? Because very badly written in Nitin Singhania, somehow he brings in a lot of different elements which actually don't exist or are too complicated for UPSC. Are we clear with regards to how? Very simply, real knowledge, right knowledge, and plural knowledge, which is atomic knowledge, how they're different to each other. Are you in a position now to understand this? Scientific school. Shashika is scientific school. Are we clear with regards to this? Do you understand the difference between these 3? Can we call these philosophy schools progressive in nature? Sure, why not? You want to call them progressive. Atomic knowledge is tough, but it is straightforward. Everything can be divided into its elements. That is why it is the concept of elemental knowledge. If you understand this, I'll give you a break. Because if I start Advaita now, you will mostly faint. So I'll give you a break, exactly 1.5 hours. If it makes sense, we come back and talk about Uttar and Purva Mimamsa, which is Advaita. That is a totally different concept altogether. Are we clear with regards to these 4? Can I go to a break knowing that you understand these 4 and their basic contours? Everybody who is here has to answer. Then only we take a break. Yes? Yes. This table is sufficient to answer any mains question, any prelims question. All keywords are there. Everything is there. Right? Okay. So we take a break. It is 11:33. We come back at 11:43, and then we will take the story forward and finish it by 12:15. Done? No, it's not. Sankhya is not art school. That's not the right way of saying it. Okay. Done? Okay. Perfect. So I'll see you at 11:45. Rather, let's take it exactly. It's 35 already. Okay. Welcome back. Okay, let's move to the next set of discussion, which is Purv Mimamsa and Uttar Mimamsa. Now let's talk about their basic understanding. Okay, can we start again? Everybody's ready? Okay. Now these schools are called Advaita school, or called monoism schools, and are exactly the opposite of Dvaita. Now the point is, what is Advaita? Now, if you will read Advaita philosophy from any source, it's very confusing. Oh, Advaita. It's written in a Advaita. All right. So the point is that it is written in a very problematic way. Too many terms are used, and it makes no sense. Now, Advaita philosophy is very straightforward. Advaita argues that what we see as Prakriti is all an illusion, Maya, and the only thing which is the real truth is Brahma, or basically the Purusha element, which is that God is the only truth, and only when you seek the only truth, which is God, then only you will get salvation. If you will seek Prakriti and Purusha both, you will never get salvation, because then you are caught up in the illusion of life. Rather, the only thing which makes sense, the only thing which is there is Purusha, which is nothing but they call it Brahma. Brahma, the creator, is the only true truth in life. So Advaita rejects Dvaita philosophy and the dualism of the universe, and argues that the world is an illusion. The world is an illusion, and the only truth which gives salvation is Brahma, God, or the creator. Or sometimes I write it like this also. Now, this is a very interesting way of looking at it. According to them, basically, Prakriti does not exist only. It is Maya, it is an illusion. And when caught in it, you will not get salvation. And only when you understand that the spiritual is the true answer, then you get salvation. Is it making sense? Advaita school? Is Advaita making sense to you? That it basically undercuts everything which Dvaita has to say. Dvaita argued that Prakriti Purusha, knowledge, physical application knowledge. But according to them, all this knowledge is useless, because their starting point is the problem itself, which is the concept of two. Maya, Moh, both are basically illusions. Moh is attachment, Maya is illusion. So very simply, when we get attached to the concept of Prakriti, which is the concept that there is one concept of the nature, when you become cognizant of this concept, you have already lost your way according to the Advaita school. So according to Advaita, all of them are wrong. Maya and Brahma are also two different concepts. Yes, Maya is nothing but illusion. Maya is the concept of the world which is around you. See, to bring it down to a level which maybe is too simplistic, when you study for the examination, this book is your Brahma. But the cool breeze outside, the cricket match, the music, the movie are Mayas. And if you are not going to concentrate on Brahma, then your salvation is not going to happen. So whilst the Dvaita school will say both of them are important, the Maya or the Prakriti which is around you and the true understanding of God, according to Advaita school, everything around you is an illusion. If you understand it, it is an illusion, it is Maya. When you give up, then only you are going to get salvation. It's a very straightforward concept. It's a rejection of the concept of Prakriti as an illusion, Maya. You get it, Nitin? Ab samajh aa gaya. Very good. If this is enough to make you understand what is, so what is going to happen is from next week, and what is going to happen? The World Cup is going to start, and what is going to happen is your examination and the World Cup, which is the Maya in this. The World Cup, you get nothing. You will not be shared money. You will not get the cup. But students, what they will do, they will start to skip classes, will not listen to the teacher. I'll tell you what starts next week. But you will start to have the video, which is this feed, and the World Cup on the other hand. And then the Maya will dominate the Brahma, and that will in turn lead to your distraction. Now make sense? That all distraction, this is a distraction. If you get distracted by the world, then you will never seek the real truth, which is God. That is the concept of monoism, the concept of Advaita. Yes, if you understand the basic concept, I want to discuss the two schools, but within the two schools, the concept is what we call as Vishisht Advaita and Advaita, which is Shankara and Ramanuja, which I have to discuss with you. Can I now shift to the other two schools? Uttar Mimamsa, Purva Mimamsa. Yes, okay. So we have Purva Mimamsa. See, Mimamsa used to be one school, but it's split up into two parts. Purva means first, And I'll tell you Advaita, Sushmita, who's the founder. You have Purv, which is first, Uttar, which is after. So that is why you see in the sequence, we always write Uttar first, we write Purv first and then Uttar later. So it's not Uttar and Dakshin, it's Purv, before and after. So Mimamsa used to be one school, but it got split up into two schools because of disagreement. Now, what is Purv Mimamsa? Pay attention. What is Purv Mimamsa? Please pay attention. See, if I'm a Vedic Brahmanistic Brahmin, or I'm a Brahmin who believes in rituals, would I be very happy with the fact that there is Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivakism? And if that was not enough, there is Kapil Muni, Jamini, these other personalities who are basically now undercutting my ideology. So Kannada, Patanjali, they are coming and talking about new things. So I would be never, very thrilled to see these four. And over and above that, if this was not enough, there are people who are going to Buddhism, Jainism, and Ajivakism. So now, what the Vedic Brahmanistic fold does is, it repackages its understanding into Purv Mimamsa, or what we call as Mimamsa school. What are the three basic concepts related to Vedic Brahmanistic path? What are the three basic concepts related to Vedic Brahmanistic path? The original path. What are the three basic things which we can talk about there? Rituals, sacrifices, and one more thing, which is the concept of ritualistic merit. Very good. Punya. Three basic things. Punya, Dan, Dakshina, Puja, or what we call as rituals, sacrifices, and Punya. Now this is the original packaging. If I asked a Brahmin, why am I doing this sacrifice? The Brahmin would say, Murkh, you cannot ask this question. You cannot understand the sacrifice. You shouldn't ask this question. So if I ask the justification, the reason for rituals and sacrifices, Brahmins want to keep that knowledge to themselves. That is what their monopoly is. So you fool cannot ask this question. You just tell me what sacrifice needs to be done. I will do it. Don't ask me questions. But Purv Mimamsa, what it did was, same concept, Punya, ritual, sacrifice, Vedas. Now they will tell you, okay, this sacrifice is to do this. I will now put this in the fire and this is going to do this. So the difference is between a government bank and a private bank. Both will open an FD for you, but the government bank, SBI, will say, give me the money, I will open the FD. Don't ask me questions. What is the interest rate? What is the interest rate? No. FD you want? This is the form, fill it up, give it to me. But when you will go to a private bank, they will tell, come in, sir, have water. Good. These are the interest rates which are prevailing. Which one would you like to choose? This is the form, please fill it up, and this is the FD. Same thing is happening, but the process is different. In one, no questions asked. Want to do it? Sure. If you don't want to do it, not my problem. Other is, they will do the same thing, but with all good intention. See, this is the concept. So Purv Mimamsa is an Advaita school, and this is nothing but repackaged Brahmanism, propagated by Jamini. It interprets and establishes the authorities of Vedas, emphasizes on reasoning and justification for Vedic rituals. Attainment of salvation, Vedic rituals. Vedic rituals will give you dharma, merit, punya, and that is the path to heaven. Brahmins attempted to maintain a ritual authority and preserve their social hierarchy. So, very simply, Purv Mimamsa is exactly the same thing with a very little bit of justifications. So, it is Advaita school, denies the existence. That is the concept of Prakriti and Purusha. Path to salvation. Vedic rituals. Vedas are the most important. Justification and explanation of rituals gives you, it is your dharma to get punya, to get salvation. So I think Purv Mimamsa should not be hard to understand. It is just a repackaged Vedic Brahmanistic process. So for them, still the concept is very straightforward. Sacrifices and rituals. But this time they will just tell you why they are doing it. Previously they did not tell you why they were doing it. Yes? Anybody any issue with Purv Mimamsa? Anyone any issue with Purv Mimamsa? No, yes, have to say something. Because then we go to Uttar. That is the most important. No, sir. No issues. Okay. So it's only reason for doing. Yes. Same exact thing. Only reason they will tell you. Okay. Now comes why the change to remain relevant. Now, sometimes it is in Mimamsa, both are same thing. Mimamsa and Mimansa, same thing. Mimamsa, same thing. Now, a faction of people who were following Jamini, who's nothing but who's a saint who came up with this very beautiful idea, how iPhone is launched by Apple every year, same phone with a little bit of changes. That is Jamini for you. Say people got frustrated within the Mimamsa school itself. Within the Mimamsa school, people got frustrated. And they said, what is the point of this? We were trying to give an alternative path, but somehow we are giving them the same exact concept itself. So what's the point of this new path which we are talking about? And out of the frustration of Purv Mimamsa, Uttar Mimamsa, which is Vedanta, emerges. But now they have a very interesting way of looking at the concept of Advaita. Their Advaita is not based on the four Vedas. Rather, they move beyond the four main books to the subsidiary book of the last book, which is Atharvaveda, has a book attached to it, and the name of that book is Upanishads. Are called Upanishads. We'll discuss. Avijiks don't believe in any god. I mean, Ajiviks have this concept that there is God. It's just that he doesn't. He has already written everybody's history. Now, when I will teach you literature, I will tell you. In literature, I will show you that there are four main books: Rig, Yajur, Sam, Athar, and then there are four books which are attached to these books: Brahmana, Aranyaka, Samhita. One of you is called Samhita, and you're named after the books which are related to Rig Veda. And the last book of the Upanishads is actually the last book of the Veda is called Upanishads. That is why this school is called Vedant. Vedo ka ant, Vedant. Very simply, they move beyond the four main books and they base their ideology on Upanishads. And Upanishads are nothing but the philosophical interpretation of the four Vedas. So very simply, Rig Veda gives you shloks, Samveda tells you how to sing those shloks, the Yajurveda is like the guidebook, what shloks give you what rituals, and Atharvaveda is the newest book which has the later editions. Upanishads actually are if you can relate, the Abhidhamma Pitika of the Vedas. What is the difference between Sutta and Abhidhamma? The three Pitikas, right? Sutta, Vinaya and Abhidhamma. What is the difference between Sutta and Abhidhamma? I've already told you this concept. Sutta, Abhidhamma. What is the difference? Rule book is Vinay. Sutta, Abhidhamma. Sutta are, yes, very good. Sutta are teaching. Abhidhamma is application, which is Sutta is what Buddha said. Abhidhamma is the philosophical interpretation of that. Same way, Vedas are the Sutta. Upanishad is the Abhidhamma, which is the application of the knowledge of Vedas. So the first thing which Uttar Mimamsa does is, it changes the emphasis. It moves away from the four main books, but it's still with the Vedic corpus only. It is a Vedic corpus book only. Corpus means it is part of the larger Vedic volumes. Upanishads are not outside the Vedas, but are the interpretation of the Vedas. So the Uttar Mimamsa, first thing is that they say that this Veda, four Veda emphasis is not working. And as soon as they move towards the Upanishads, they also change the path to salvation. And what they do is that they are very smart. They're very smart. Uttar Mimamsa, it is refutes ritual-centric philosophy of the Purva Mimamsa. They now emphasize on the Upanishads, but what they do is they pick up from everyone. Meditation, self-discipline, spiritual connectivity, the realization of the ultimate truth can only come when you are linked to your karma, you do good deeds, and you have to meditate, you have to have self-discipline, you have to have spiritual connectivity. So in a way, they mix up yoga plus the concept of the Sankhya and the Nyaya and the Vaisheshika. So very simply, the Uttar Mimamsa says that we have to seek Brahma, which is the truth, which is God, by meditation, the concept of spiritual connectivity, and contemplation. So they have hybridized the approach itself. And that is why Vedanta was very, very popular and was used, or very simply, it undercuts everyone. That's a very good way of saying anything. It basically undercuts everybody. Smartly undercuts everyone. They say yoga is also right. Vedanta, Vaisheshika, Mimamsa, Vaisheshika, Nyaya, and Sankhya are also right. And Uttar Mimamsa is also right because the core philosophy is Vedanta, Advaita. So very simply, Uttar Mimamsa became the most popular and allowed for the spread of the understanding of Vedic Brahmanism from the northeast under Shankaradeva, first in the southern sector, then in the northeastern sector, and throughout India, there will be what we call as thinkers related to the Uttar Mimamsa, two most known and important, Shankaradeva and Ramanuja, who will change the way we see, the basic understanding of reality. So Uttar Mimamsa, what it will do is that it will basically, the method we will talk about will be a mix of meditation, which undercuts Buddhism, Jainism, and yoga, and then the yoga becomes a part of it only. Then it talks about spiritual connectivity and contemplation to seek knowledge of the ultimate truth, which is God or Brahma. And this, in a way, these two undercut again Buddhism, Jainism, and the concept of knowledge undercuts Nyaya, Vaisheshika, and Sankhya. And because it is talking about Brahma, it is adding to Mimamsa school. Now, if you understand the beauty of how Uttar Mimamsa was able to create a very interesting way of seeing path to salvation, then I would like to discuss the difference between something which I promised to you, which we will discuss in the beginning, which is what is the difference between Advaita, what is the difference between Vishishta Advaita, the difference between Shankaradeva and Ramanuja. The two major, Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaita. Can I discuss these two? How are they different to each other? Advaita Vedanta and Vishishta Advaita. Advaita Vedanta, which is Shankaradeva or Shankaracharya, and Vishishta Advaita, Ramanuja. This is, see, move to Upanishad, path to salvation, seek Brahma God, the knowledge of it, through the concept of meditation, spiritual connectivity, contemplation. This is a very important slide because you can see Uttar Mimamsa method is a concept which undercuts all the other popular ones which are there. So it adds to the Mimamsa school by sticking to the concept of Advaita, but by using the word knowledge, it is undercutting the Nyaya, Vaisheshika and Sankhya school. And all other yoga is cut by meditation, and spiritual connectivity and contemplation is something which is a very core philosophy of Buddhism, Jainism. That is also undercut. So in a way, if you look at it, the Uttar Mimamsa school is quite smart in the way it talks about salvation. Can I talk about Vishisht Advaita and Advaita Vedanta? Is everybody with me? Is it making sense? Come on. Yes. Last major concept. Come on. Thereafter, we go to smaller topic. The video is not stuck. I refreshed it. Can we talk about Advaita Vedanta and Vishisht Advaita? Yes. Okay. Now, see what Shankaracharya or Shankaradeva says. This doesn't matter. The spelling doesn't matter. Shankaracharya, Shankaradeva, same thing. Okay. Now this just have to revise. I write the only. You just remember this. This is the word which the UPSC will also use. Shankaracharya. SH and SA are the same thing. Okay. Now, see what Shankaradeva says or Shankaracharya says is that very simply, souls are not unique or do not have characteristics, but are true part of God, and they reflect that. Now, I'll give you a very straightforward example and you will understand it. What Advaita Vedanta says, which is monistic Vedanta, says that there is God, who is the original operating system. Who is the original operating system? So you have OS, operating system. And when this operating system is sent to a phone, a tablet, and a laptop, what Shankaracharya says is that the original OS, the OS is exactly the same here. The interface doesn't change. It's exactly the same. If it is OS here, it is OS. There is no difference. In a way, you and me are the same because all of us have a soul, and our soul don't have characteristics. They have the characteristic of God. Basically, everybody's soul is the same. Everyone's soul is same. Advaita Vedanta, monoistic Vedanta, which is one God, and God's ansh or God's part in you is exactly the same, which is everyone has the exact same soul. So if my OS has a certain interface here, it will have the certain same interface here, and here. Make sense? What is Advaita Vedanta? Because then Vishisht Advaita will become very easy to understand. Yes, no, have to say something. Last major thing. After that, I give you a summary of this whole section. I'll repeat. Advaita Vedanta says souls are not unique. They are just showing characteristics which God has. In a way that if I give you this book, all copies of this book are exactly the same. If I make a photocopy of this book, all the copies are going to be same, Hardeep. So this is God, and the photocopies are nothing but soul. So if there is a characteristic which is there in the God, it will also be there in the photocopies, which is soul. So basically, this has a characteristic, and all other souls also have the same characteristic. Everybody, you, me, everyone who's sitting in class, they are the same soul. If I take out everybody's souls out, exactly the same thing, exactly same characteristic. Very simply, your individuality is not based on your soul. This is what Advaita Vedanta is saying. Everyone's soul is the same. Your operating system interface is the same across all devices. Clear? Now, Vishisht Advaita means qualified monoism. And what Ramanujacharya said was, souls have characteristics, and though they are part of God, they possess a certain quality and characteristic. What Vishisht Advaita says, the OS may be here, but when it goes to the mobile, it changes to mobile OS. When it goes to tablet, it becomes tab OS, and in laptop, it becomes laptop OS. Interface changes. In a way, what Vishisht Advaita is saying, what Ramanujacharya is saying, whoever you are, maybe you get angry too much, maybe you are very good at maths, maybe you are a very jolly person, maybe you become sad very quickly, maybe you have a certain way of looking at life. Your individual characteristics are because of your soul. So according to Ramanuja, every soul is different. Every soul is different, which is that qualified monoism. Every soul has a quality. My soul has a certain quality. Your soul has a certain quality. Your individuality comes from the quality of or the characteristics of your soul. Very straightforward. Advaita Vedanta says all souls are the same. Vishisht Advaita says they come from one source, but they have their own nature, characteristic, and quality. Make sense? Yes? Nothing better. So then let's bring all of this together. We've discussed Sankhya, Nyaya, Yoga, Vaisheshika, Uttar, Purv, Mimamsa. Uttar, Purv, Mimamsa. Now I'll write some keywords related to each one of them, and that is what you have to use for the examination. or you need to find it in the examination. Real knowledge, sensory experience, Dvaita. Right knowledge, logic and comparison, Dvaita. Dvaita, pranayam, what we call as asanas, and the concept of physical application. Vaisheshika, Dvaita, elemental, atomic, scientific, the elements of Prakriti, knowledge about plurality. Purvamimamsa, justification for Vedic rituals. Advaita, Advaita, Vedanta, Upanishads based meditation, contemplation, spiritual connectivity, and knowledge of Brahma. If this slide makes sense to you, I can now shift to smaller topics and do a little bit of the previous questions, and then we can break for lunch. Does this slide make sense to everyone? Please, you have to be more vocal, have to be very straightforward in telling me that. Okay? Clear? Yes, clear. Okay. Now, I hope the fear of 6 schools of philosophy is gone. It's one of the most technical part, but we've steered clear of it because we have not become emotional. We've taken it on face value. Now, the last school which is left is called the unorthodox school, which is called Charvakism. Charvakism. Now, see, Charvaks are based on the Charvak texts, and they are very interesting personalities. Charvaks say, without rejecting Hinduism, without rejecting anything, they say that Uttar is here, Uttar Mimamsa is here, which is Vedanta. So Uttar Mimamsa is done, Purva Mimamsa is done. Now, Charvakism, which is unorthodox school, it says one thing. You know, what is this obsession with death? What is this obsession with moksha? Will you ever get to know that you got moksha? Will you get a notification on your phone that you got moksha? Or your family will be notified that you got moksha, salvation, this, that? No. So what they argue is that this school is also called Lokayata. Is that why are we jeopardizing our this lok for the parlok? Which is, why are we so obsessed with what happens after death that we are giving up before it, or before death we are giving up everything? This is called the YOLO. You only live once. So they are like, let's chill. Let's just not talk about death. Let's not talk about this knowledge, this, that. Once I die, I get moksha, or this, that. No. Let's enjoy life. Let's enjoy life. And I don't want to talk about if I will get moksha or not. When I'm born, my consciousness comes because of God. After that, there is nothing which I control generally. So these Charvak texts, which were written by Brihaspati, they will refute the idea of the Vedas, though they don't refute the concept of Hinduism. They believe that the contact with the this lok is more important. They don't believe in the parlok, which is the other world which we go after when we die. And perception through senses, enjoy life. Reject soul, incarnation, spirits, and God. They believe that all this is just made up. Let's try to live life as we should. When you die, your consciousness goes somewhere. They don't care. So the materialistic school, what is called the Lokayata school, they don't take tension. They don't take tension, which is that they don't care. They're like, too much death we are talking about. So for them, very simply, it is about this lok than the parlok. Don't be a Charvak, because that won't work. So very simply, we have the orthodox schools and we have one unorthodox school, which is Charvakism. Done, everyone. Can we close 6 schools of philosophy? This is the gist of what we had to understand with 6 schools. This is the first heavy topic which we needed to cover. Yes, no, I have to say something. Can we move on? Lokyata is their name. Revision is needed? Sure. No issues at all. You need to do. Lokyata means Lokyata. Charvakism alternative name is Lokyata. Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta separate. There are 2 different schools within Uttar Mimamsa. Unorthodox, Sai is very straightforward. Unorthodox means they don't want this whole death, destruction, salvation, moksha concept. They say, we will enjoy materialistic school. We will enjoy this lok. We don't want to worry about what happens after death. That's it. That is Charvakism for you. It is a school which believes in this lok. It does not talk about reincarnation, rebirth. They don't care about that. They're like, too much tension is there. We don't want to take that. It's a chill out school. It's like, live life as you want to and don't think what happens after death. Is it clear? Sian, Shubham? Yes? Vivek? Okay. Well, let's do one thing. Brihaspati is the name of the person who started the Charvak texts. Now, I want to do one small topic, which is the pottery section. Very small topic. Not very big that way. Let me look for it once. Just 1 second. Yes. Now, let's talk about pottery. Can we talk about pottery? Are you all out of this? 35, it's only 25 minutes more. You get lunch and you never have to talk about these things again. Right? Okay. Now, pottery again in Nitin Singhania is given in a very confusing way. Now, in the examination, they can ask you basic question related to chronology and which period you get what pottery. And rather than making it very easy for the candidate, like this, he's just messed it up by pushing it in different areas. Now, if you find the following pottery in the examination, it corresponds to this following period. One is called BRW, which is black and red ware, or black on red ware. You can see here, this is black color on red color. When you find this type of pottery anywhere in India, which dates to these archaeological excavations, we know that it is in the Harappan period that these type of potteries were created. So we automatically know that it has to be 3rd millennium BCE, which is this period of 3000 to close to 1500 or rather 1700 BCE. We know that if we find BRW, it is going to be that. Thereafter, if you find something like this is called OCP, ochre colored pottery. This is mostly found, ochre is that color which you see cream color. This is what you mostly find in the early Vedic period. Early Vedic period would mean what period? What time period? What time period? Come on, tell me. What would be early Vedic period time period? Exact time period, tell me. Very good, Neha. 1500 to 1000 BCE. That is OCP. Now, if I get this is called painted grey. This is later Vedic period. So if I find this type of pottery, you can say grey ware they painted. Then it comes to the later Vedic period, which is nothing but 1000 to 500 BCE, 500, 600. Now, from the Mauryan, the Mahajanpada phase, and till the Mauryan phase, we find only one type of pottery, which is called Northern Black Polished Ware. Very beautiful, very beautiful. This is Northern Black Polished Ware, NBPW, Northern Black Polished Ware. Very beautiful, very prominent in that ways. And as soon as you find red ware, do you find this type of pottery today? Yes or no? Do you find this type of pottery? Yes or no? Yes. This will become common after the post-modern period. Red ware. Now, this is simple, straightforward, which Nitin Singhania could have done. He's messed it up for some reason. So I'm keeping it very simple with you. You remember BRW, OCP, PGW, NBPW, red ware, RW. We start with BRW, we end with RW. This is Harappa. This is early Vedic. This is later Vedic. This is Maha plus Maurya. This is post Maurya onwards. Now I'll tell you how does the UPSC play with this. How does the UPSC play with this? I'm giving you time to learn this right now, 2 minutes, because I want you to guess something. Because how will UPSC use this understanding or this data in that regard? NBPW is Northern Black Polished Ware. Very standard in Mahajanpada Mauryan period. Mahajanpada Mauryan period. Please look at it, learn it. I'll give you 2-3 type of set of questions and let's see which type of questions you're able to answer. BRW, so you can remember BROP, 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 NBRW, something like this, if you want to remember. Are you ready to answer any question? Now, if in the examination, in the 2023 paper, which came this year, UPSC acted over smart and it said that discuss the society of ochre colored pottery societies. This question is asking about what? This question is asking about which period? Very good. Early Vedic. They can write it like this also. In the examination, they can give you, for example, a prelims question with reference to the Northern Black Polished Ware period. Discuss the architecture. Which period is this question talking about? It's talking about Mahajanpada and Mauryan period. So in the examination, UPSC can, in a way, play with these words by actually giving you the pottery type rather than giving the time period. So just go through this slide once. And now what I want from you, last thing, is I want you to put them in chronological order. If you can, we'll move to the previous questions in that regard. Now, you have BRW, RW, you have OCP, you have NBPW, and there is PGW. Give me the code for them in the right order. Everybody has to write it down. Give me the code in the comment section. Everyone writes it, then we do previous questions. Varun has already written. Nitin, Shubham, Kashish, Samita, Arpita, come on. Vishal has given. Hardeep, I'll take your name as soon as you put him through. Sanika, like this. Anu, giving you time. Vivek, you've not given me the code. Give me the code. Arundhati, Tripti, I'll give you time. Don't have to hurry. Write it in the right way. Nikita, give me the code. Put them in order. What is that? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, something like that. Nikita, Narendra, Himanshu. I'm waiting for you. I'm giving you 1 more minute. Again, Vivek, you're writing 4 Northern Black Colored Pottery NBPW. You're not giving me the code. Give me the code. Abhinav, Yara, Nikita, very good. Neha, right, wrong, just give me the code. Neha, very good. Monica. Anyone else wants to type? Okay. Very good. Amit, very good, Amit. Again, you're giving me full forms, Vivek. I know the full forms. Give me the chronological order. Amit, last. Sian has now pushed in. Okay. So, with regards to Vivek has now pushed through. Now, if you look at the codes which are coming through mostly, some of you got confused, but the right code is 13555. You've written 13542. Let's check. Let's check if that is the case. Anu has now given 13542. You are writing 1 BRW, then 3 OCP, then 5 PGW, then 4 NBPW, and then 2. Perfect. Perfect. 1 3 5 4 2. You see here 1 3 5 4 and 2. Done. BRW, OCP, PW. Great. So now you don't fear pottery, because again pottery very messy in Nitin Singhania. Okay, great. So let's do some previous questions and then we can move. We can take a break. We'll do some previous questions. Yes, that is more like it. Okay. Which of the following pairs does not form part of the 6 schools of Indian philosophy? We've just done it. Very simple question. The examiner has given you a certain type of random thing has been written, but you need to be just very smart in answering this question. It is asking you which does not form. Very good, 81%. 9, 6, and 3%. 6 schools of philosophy. Mimamsa Vedanta, yes they are. Nyaya Vaisheshika, yes they are. Sankhya Yoga, yes they are. All have been written. Lokyata is not part of 6 schools of philosophy. Kapalika is a sub-school of Lokyata, but doesn't matter. Straightforward question. Difficult? Easiest possible. Now, with reference to the famous Satariya dance, consider the following statement. This is an interesting question. Satariya is a combination of music, dance, drama. It is a century-old living tradition of Vaishnavites in Assam. It is based on the classical rags and tals of devotional songs composed by Tulsidas, Kabir, and Mirabai. Here, you have to just be a little bit street smart. I'm giving you time. You tell me what is the answer. I'm giving you 1 minute. Figure it out. Very good. 66% of you are reading very closely. 13% and 13% are not reading closely, or somehow the A1 are actually too critical. See, tell me one thing. It says it is based on classical rag, tals, devotional songs. Tulsidas, Kabir, and Mirabai. Kabir is devotional. Kabir, Dohas were known for devotional. He is Nirgun Bhakti. And he's the only one, along with Dalu Dayal, who actually do social critique. So, yes, it is based on Tulsidas and Mirabai. But Kabir is the problem here. So, this statement becomes incorrect. This question is mixing up dance and Bhaktism. So, your 2 options automatically get eliminated, which means that 1 has to be correct. Yes, dance, drama, and music. That is true for all of the different combinations of music, dance, drama, all dances are like that. But it says it is a century-old tradition for Vaishnavites. The name Satariya comes from which word? The name Satariya comes from which words? Which word? Satras. Satras were Vaishnavite temples in Assam. Now, you tell me straightforward. Is this question difficult, or it only needs street smartness and conceptual clarity? I only have to read closely. If I'm able to read closely, 66% of you did that, and you got the answer. Let's move 1 step further. With reference to India's cultural tradition, what is Kalripat? Still prevalent in some parts of South India. Ancient style bronze and work, still found in parts of Coromandel area. Ancient form of dance, drama, and living tradition in northern part of Malabar. Ancient martial arts and living tradition in some parts of South India. Come on. Perfect. 6% and 12%. Kalripattu, martial arts. Close my eyes, answer D. They've just given you things to distract. Remember, if there's a vague option, there's a specific option. You always choose the specific option. So nobody answered this as it is. Bronze glass tradition, no. Dance drama tradition, no. Kalripat, martial arts. Consider the following pairs: Garbha, Gujarat; Mohiniyattam, Odisha; Yashgana, Karnataka. Which of the following are correctly matched? Come on. No issues, Nitin. 8, 14, 64, totally correct. 14%. Okay. Now see. Yashgana is Karnataka, everybody knows that. So there are 3 options in this. This gets eliminated. Garba is Gujarat. Everybody knows that also. Mohiniyattam, Odisha. The easiest is the dance of Odisha is called Odissi, Odissi, Odisha. Mohiniyattam and Kathakali coming from Kerala. Done. Okay. With reference to cultural history of India, the term Panchayatan refers to an assembly of village elders, a religious sect, a style of temple construction, and administrative functionary. Come on. Very easy question again. Standard A and D confusion. A and D, there should be no confusion only. But Panchayatana, one god, subsidiary gods. What you are, I don't know why people mess it up with village elders. That is Sabha Samiti Vidhata or Ul Sabha Nagaram. So between A and D again makes no sense. Panchayatan, then you are overreading. That's called overthinking beyond exception. Overthinking beyond exception. If you are mixing up Panchayat and Panchayatan, makes no sense at all. That is. So that is, you are overreading the question. It says cultural history of India and you are bringing 73rd and 74th amendment in that regard. So for some reason, I don't get it. So this is a very straightforward question, very easy in that regard. Okay. Ibadat Khana at Fatehpur Sikri was a mosque for the use of royal family, Akbar's private prayer chamber, the hall in which Akbar held discussion with scholars of various religions, the rooms in which nobles of different religions gathered to discuss religious affairs. Come on. We'll take a break once we cover these questions. Come on. This is standard. Standard happens. C and D are not the same thing. C and D are actually not the same thing. See, Akbar private prayer chamber, he did not pray too much. Mosque, the last thing he will actually build, it was called the Jami Mosque. That's a British. The room in which nobles, different religion gathered to discuss religious affairs. The hall in which Akbar held discussions with various. Isn't there a difference between a noble and Akbar? Did Akbar sit in the Ibadat Khana and discuss? Or his nobles sat and discuss? You tell me. Was it his nobles which did it? Or was it Akbar who sat there? So then how is C and D the same thing? If you cannot answer Ibadat Khana Akbar, then there's a problem. You need revision. These two are fundamentally different to each other. Nobles belonging to different religions. Firstly, tell me one thing. Did he call nobles of different religions or did he call the religious intermediaries of different religions? Nobles or religious intermediaries? Religious intermediaries. So then why are you marking D? Get my point? Read closely. Simple, straightforward questions. Are very simple, straightforward questions. This we'll do later. This we can do later. 1, 2. Yeah, we can do this. You want to do it right now? We come back from the break. We'll do these questions. Remind me, we'll do these questions when we come back. Slide number 159, 160, 161. Want to go for break? Leaderboard you want to see? Agdiz, Himanshu, Anu, Arpita, Amit. Thereafter, somebody's got one or the other question incorrect. Hardeep, Tripti, Vivek, Janita, Shamishta, Samhita, Narendra, Akanksha, Shubham, Neha, Mayuri, Kashish, Arundhati, Vishal, Nitin, Abhinav. So, can we go for a break? But did these questions give you certain type of understanding to what to do with the information which I'm giving you? Yes? Yes or no? Okay. So when we come back, we'll do these questions. Before we end today, I'll also discuss the questions of 2023 so that we can also discuss this generally. Okay. So I'll see you at 2:05 now and we'll take the story forward. When we come back, another big topic, numismatics. Numismatics, big topic. We'll discuss that. See you.